Coming soon to PlayStation 4. Join Natalie and Debbie on an all-new Uncharted adventure as they travel all across the world in search of the Tusk of MacGuffin. But an evil villain man is also looking for it, so there might be some heated confrontations, possibly involving guns and stuff. Naughty Dog once again delivers a truly immersive experience that will have players saying, wow, they decided to make this instead of working on Last of Us 2? Really? Whatever. Uncharted! The Lost Legacy. Wait, hold on. You get Jak and Daxter for free if you buy this game? Change of plans. The video's about Jak and Daxter now. Since I was a kid, Jak and Daxter has always been one of my favorite games, and I'll take whatever chance I can to talk about it. When I first got my PlayStation 2 back in 2002, I got 2 games with it. Those games were Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex and Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. At the time, I had no idea what Jak and Daxter was, and the only reason I got it was because it came bundled with the system. So after I got tired of Wrath of Cortex's obnoxiously long load times, I decided to give this mysterious new game a try. Needless to say, I was absolutely blown away by the cartoony graphics and, at the time, the biggest open world I've ever experienced. Immediately, I was hooked. I spent weeks exploring new areas, going on quests, and fighting dangerous enemies until that fateful day when I beat the final boss and realized just how much I'd fallen in love. Over the years, I've probably played through Jak and Daxter a nice dozen times or so, and every time I do, I have just as much fun as the last. The game has been ported onto every PlayStation console since, for better or for worse, and now it's time that the game makes its way onto PS4. Obviously, I'm excited, but after 15 years, can Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy manage to withstand the test of time and be just as good now as it was back then? Yes. Yes, it can. But that's not going to stop me from talking about it for the next several minutes. So let's start the thing. Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy starts off a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, where we find our hero Jak and his annoying sidekick Daxter on a boat headed to the forbidden Misty Island. It is there that we find our bad guys planning to launch an attack on Jak's village to try and steal their eco, which is the world's form of energy. The two then sneak away, and Daxter happens to come across a precursor artifact. The precursors are a mysterious ancient civilization that left behind all sorts of structures and contraptions that are scattered across the world. Jak finds that he was able to activate the artifact, which he uses to defend himself from an enemy. The knockback pushes Daxter into a pool of dark eco, and he emerges as a small orange rodent. Naturally, this comes as quite a surprise to Daxter. The two then return to Jak's home to see if Samos the Green Sage is able to revert Daxter back to his normal self, but unfortunately there's only one person in the world capable of doing it. His name is Gal Acheron, and he resides in a distant land far to the north, so Jak and Daxter begin their adventure to find Gal and change Daxter back to normal. At its core, it's a very simple story, and that's what makes it so timeless. The game's just about these two guys on a quest to find this other guy. There's no other major subplots or backstories. Hell, even the precursors who are right in the title of the game don't have much of an impact story-wise. At least not until the sequels, but we're not talking about them today. It's Jak 1 all the way, baby! Along the way, you do also meet a cast of different and unique characters. Each one is full of personality and charm, no doubt due to the fantastic over-the-top voice acting. See this fisherman? Yeah, well guess what? He's voiced by none other than Kevin friggin' Conroy.
I've never seen you laugh before. I don't think I like it.
Now, let's talk about the environments, okay? This world might not be big by today's standards, but my god, do they fill it with the coolest stuff. You've got the wild jungle level, a snowy mountain, a murky swamp, a volcanic crater, even an underwater city.
Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose
And every new area you go to is just completely brought to life by the music playing in the background on top of the sound effects and the scenery that makes the levels feel truly different from one another. You might think that since there's all these different environments cramped into one game that things would feel unnatural, but it's surprising how seamless the transitions between areas are. Since there aren't any loading screens, which is a big step up from Crash Bandicoot might I add, you can just walk from one place to another and it'll feel right. Like, yeah, this bright, happy meadow feels like it belongs next to the dark, rainy town. But oddly enough, it fits. In 30 seconds, you can go from the center of this molten volcano to the top of Mount Everest, but because of how well the transitions are, it feels right. And oh my god, the controls, they're so smooth. You just kind of glide around everywhere, and jumping across platforms is like, it's just so tight and crispy. No joke, running around and doing things as Jack is one of the most enjoyable things I've ever done in video games. He's got this roll jump that lets you cross large gaps, but it's so precise, and when you do it, it just feels so good. And then on top of that, you have a double jump, a spin attack, and a punch that can be comboed into an uppercut. There's something about the animations and the sound effects that makes everything Jack does super fun. And the best part is that Jack starts off with all his abilities right off the bat. That means if there's a mission you want to do, you can just go do it without having to backtrack later on. It's kind of like in Breath of the Wild, how Link starts off with all his abilities so you can complete whatever you want in any order. The only difference is Jak and Daxter isn't totally open world. New hub areas are blocked off until you collect enough of them power doohickeys, and each hub has several areas you can access around it. However, the areas themselves are decently sized, so you have enough freedom to explore to your heart's content. You see, this game was one of the last of its kind, a dying genre called Collectathons. Similar to Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, and Spyro the Dragon, the idea behind Jak and Daxter is that you have large open areas you can explore to collect as many items as you can possibly find. Here, they're referred to as Precursor orbs and power cells. The Precursor orbs are egg-shaped trinkets that are also used as currency for some reason. Personally, I've moved on to paper currency since orbs are way too bulky and you can't even fit one of them into a pocket. Let alone 90 of the things like this guy wants. Actually, pretty much everyone you meet in the game is a beggar who just needs 90 Precursor orbs to get by.
90 Precursor orbs. 90 Precursor orbs.
90 Precursor orbs.
90 orbs. 90 Precursor orbs.
Where do you even put them? I mean, I kind of have an idea where this guy puts them, but nobody else has an excuse. And then you got the power cells, which are the big collectibles. These are the ones you want to go out of your way to get. The power cells are used to activate machinery that allows you to access more areas of the game, so they're very important. Overall, there are 101 power cells to collect, and you can obtain them by solving puzzles, beating bosses, and playing minigames. Help Batman catch a fish? Power cell. Help a baby Flut hatch from an egg? Power cell. Kill all the rats in an admittedly clunky, out-of-place shooter? Boom, power cell. As daunting as 101 power cells may sound, most of them are actually really easy to get, and you're constantly being rewarded with them for every small feat. I know I've played through Jak and Daxter a dozen times, but for me it takes a little under 6 hours to 100%, so the game isn't exactly that long. It's the perfect game to just sit down and beat in an afternoon, and that's just great. In case you couldn't tell by now, I think Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy is one of the best games ever made, and I've barely scratched the surface on why I love it so much. I love jumping around on the bird and driving through dangerous obstacles and kicking the crap out of lurkers. Those are the bad guys, by the way. They're called lurkers, and they're amazing. The graphics, music, and gameplay all mix together perfectly to create an exciting adventure that everyone should try at least once. Unfortunately, since the platforming genre died, the series has become somewhat of a clone of Grand Theft Auto, taking the focus away from careful jumps and tricky maneuvering, and putting it on shooting and driving and a dark, edgy story. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate Jak 2 and 3, but personally, I prefer the first game the most. Nowadays, Naughty Dog is caught up with Uncharted and Last of Us, and they've been neglecting Jak and Daxter. And I get it, those are the super successful games, and they're works of art also. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see Jak 4 come out. Hey you, I see you there. Back with you. Back into the pit I put you in. How'd you even get out of there, you scoundrel? We don't talk about Lost Frontier. Anyway, I had fun playing through Jak and Daxter again, and I know I'm going to have even more fun the next time I pick it up, which will probably be in like 3 days. And now, secret ending time.
Wow! What is it?
It's so beautiful.
I love precursors.
Aww.